Hey, this is Linus, what's up? Here's the Vernee X. On paper, this phone looks really impressive because it has the Helio P23 chipset, 6GB of RAM, 128GB of internal storage, and finally, a huge 6000 mAh battery. As always, let's take a look if this phone is any good. At the time of this review, the phone costs about $250, but I will leave a discount code, link to original camera samples, and more in the video description down below. The phone ships with a USB cable, a fast charger, a headset jack adapter, a screen protector, and a pretty nice soft TPU case to protect your phone. The Vernee X has a really impressive spec sheet that definitely draws a lot of attention. Also, it has a massive battery that is crammed into a relatively compact profile. That battery holds up really well, and depending on how you use the phone, it should last you for days. Under my usage, I could get over 14 hours of screen on time, and I still had about 30% left, which is really impressive. It takes about 2 hours to fully charge the phone with a supplied fast charger. There are a few things that I like and a few things that I don't really like about the looks of the Vernee X. Obviously, it's great to have a full screen design, and that huge display is pretty good for a budget phone. I don't know if the phone has metal frame inside, but it sports a somewhat textured matte plastic finish, which may be nice to the touch, but honestly, I prefer all metal design, or at least a combination of glass and metal. On the other hand, the phone's build quality is solid, the buttons are nice, and the phone does not feel cheap. There is a notification LED light, front-facing LED flash, and a supposedly dual camera setup on the front. You get another dual camera setup on the back, but of course we'll see how it really works a little bit later in this review. I found the fingerprint scanner to be accurate, but the display could light up a little bit faster. There is no headset jack, but the quality of sound via supplied adapter is quite decent. Finally, the loudspeaker sound quality is just mediocre, and I wish it was much louder. In terms of gaming, I expected a bit better overall performance. Well, you can play all the 3D games on the highest graphics, but you should expect a few skipped frames here and there, which is really disappointing given powerful internals of this phone. I expected buttery smooth performance, but this is a sub $200 phone after all. Thankfully, the Vernee X does not have any overheating issues. The phone ships with Android 7.1, and I love that they preserved a stock look. You can customize the navigation bar, use a few gesture and motion controls, but that's pretty much it. The phone runs on bare bones Android, and I like it. However, there is the UI bug that prevented me from running a Geekbench 4 benchmark test. Hopefully this will be fixed soon. The overall performance is pretty good despite a bit slower animations than usual, but that's just nitpicking. I have no complaints. There is an annoying software bug in the camera app. Sometimes the app shows that the image is out of focus once you're taking the picture, but it's actually in focus. I was able to solve this issue by using a third-party camera app. The overall image quality is mediocre, as most of the pictures lack detail and sharpness, and the colors are not always accurate. There is also a portrait mode that takes bad-looking pictures. The usual story here: camera software creates a fake bokeh effect, leading to the question if the secondary sensor does anything at all. Night image quality is again just mediocre, like on most of these cheap phones. Selfies are usable, but again, they could be more detailed. A selfie portrait mode takes artificial looking images, just like the main camera. 1080p video quality is just poor. There is also a huge crop factor for some reason, making the video more shaky and less usable. 480p video that is recorded using a selfie camera looks just terrible. There is not only a huge crop factor, but also the sound is out of sync. Really frustrating. Meaning that the quality is not that good. I don't really understand why we don't have at least 720p, but anyway, this is the test of the Vernee X smartphone handheld. I didn't have any connectivity issues with this device, as the call quality and signal reception were pretty good, and even the GPS lock speeds and accuracy were okay. The phone has quite a few sensors, including a gyroscope, so you'll be able to use this phone with VR headsets. In conclusion, let me talk about the pros and cons. Let's take a look at the cons first. My first point may be a little bit subjective, but I wish the phone was made of metal, or at least glass and metal. Right now we have a plastic made phone, or at least it feels like plastic. Also, the phone lacks the headset jack, and the volume output from the loudspeaker could be a lot better. In addition, there are a few bugs in the user interface, and what is more, I expected a buttery smooth gaming performance, but you may see a few skipped frames here and there in some games. As far as cameras go, yes, we have dual camera setups on the back and on the front, but you should know that both those setups, they take pictures with the fake bokeh effect. Finally, video recording quality is poor, especially with the front-firing camera. On a positive note, this phone has great specifications, including 128GB of internal storage, great battery life, huge display that's actually pretty good, and finally it ships with a stock Android 7 out of the box. At the end of the day, please consider all the pros and cons before making the purchase. So this is my list of pros and cons of the Vernee X, but what do you guys think about this device? As always, drop me a comment down below, please like the video if you liked it, please subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and finally, it was Linus, thank you for watching, and see you soon.